Let me ask you something. Have you ever wondered what people remember about you when you're gone? Not what you wore or what you posted or how many likes you got on your socials, but it depends on the stuff that matters, the stuff that lasts. What if I should tell you that the greatest mark you will ever make or the greatest achievement you will ever have is not written in ink or carved in stone or typed in a caption? It is written in impact. You're welcome to another episode of Flashes of Dynamic Youth Thoughts from the stable of SIPC Global Youth of Salvation International Prayer Christian Church. I'm your host for today, Clara, and today we'll be talking about a very important topic: make a mark that cannot be erased. Now, what does it mean to make a mark that cannot be erased? It's not about being famous, even though that's a byproduct, but it's not about being perfect. It's more or less about how you live your life. It's more or less about living your life in a way that matters, living your life in a way that actually brings impact to yourself and to people around you. Think about it. History forgets people, but we remember those that actually made a difference. It's not about the loud words or the big money, but it is about the consistent love, quiet courage, and relentless purpose. Now, let me tell you something. Your life is a canvas. The real question is, what are you painting on it? Now, how can you strive to make a purpose? There are different ways you can strive to make a purpose. It's not about you making it big before you know that, oh, yes, you actually made a mark. The number one step you can strive to make a mark is through your relationships. When I mean relationships, I mean with your family, with your friends, even your workplace, among your colleagues. You can actually make a mark that cannot be erased. You can actually make an impact among you can actually make an impact among them that actually will impact yourself and the lives of people around you. The second one would be through small acts of kindness. Like I said before, it's not about you making it big before you know that you actually made an impact or before you know that you actually made a mark. You can actually make a mark through small acts of kindness. You can actually just do something small to someone and then to just resonate with them for as long as they might leave. You just never know. And that's why we see so many people where they actually did something in the past, he did a good deed in the past, and then in the future it just comes back to like reward them. That's a mark that cannot be erased. Now, I want to tell you that you there are ways that you can actually make a mark. And like I said before, you can make a mark through your relationships, through small acts of kindness, and so on. But then, a lot of people do not know how to start. They have a lot of things that they want to do. They have like a lot of passion for something, but they just don't know how they want to go about it. Now, will I tell you that, or can I tell you that there are various ways and various steps you can take for you to actually make a mark? The first one, identify your values and your passions. Most impactful contributions that you make actually stem from those areas. That's your values and your passions. That's why we see most people who have actually made an impact in the world. It stems from their passion. It stems from something that they actually wanted to do. That's why they were able to make that mark. For example, we can actually say the Wright brothers. The Wright brothers were the ones that actually contributed to the airplanes that we now see, or the airplanes that we now fly in. They were the ones that actually they first sat down and like they can actually do something, because back then they saw that many people flew through balloons, through kites. But then, example, we have the Wright brothers. The Wright brothers actually saw a problem and then came up with a solution to that. Before they invented an airplane, the people's mode of transportation were balloons, kites, and so on. But then they found out that it wasn't safe for long distance transportation. So they decided to come up with a solution, and that solution was airplane. Now we are using airplanes anytime we have a long distance trip. Isn't that a mark? That is a mark that cannot be erased. Even though they are no more, it is something that we remember them for, the airplane. Now, I also want to use the example of someone within us, someone that is still alive, and that person is DJ Switch. I don't know if you remember her, but I actually do remember her. And I would say that before that whole NSAS incident, I never knew about her. I never knew who she was. I never knew that she was a celebrity. I just never knew about her. But that moment, that NSAS moment that we all know about now, actually made us know about DJ Switch. It made us know about the sacrifice that she made during that moment, the passion that she has for such cause. It made us remember her for what she did during that moment. NSAS is one of the days that we celebrate here in Nigeria. And anytime we celebrate that day, we always remember DJ Switch. That is a mark that cannot be erased. The second one on how to make a mark is through consistency. Making a significant mark actually requires sustained effort over time. You can't make a mark if you are the kind of person that once you try and it fails, you're just going to give up immediately. To make a mark, it requires you to be consistent. It requires you to stand up when you failed. That is how to make a mark. Another one is to live with intention. Be careful and be mindful of your actions. Consider your choice when considering choices or when making choices, consider the consequences, whether it's going to bring positive consequences or negative consequences. Be mindful of your actions. Now remember that the impact of your actions may not be immediately visible, or it can be profound. You don't have to wish to make a very, very big impact. Like I said before, you can make a big impact in small ways, in little ways. So you don't have to wait for it to be big for you to think that it actually made an impact. I want you to remember that you might have done something in the past. You might, maybe through a small act of kindness, you might not know this, but you actually made a mark. That person till now might still remember you for that little act of kindness that you did to them, for that care that you actually showed towards them. That is making a mark. So remember that you don't have to do something big, something huge for you to actually make a mark. It's not by force you go ahead and maybe invent an airplane. I don't know what you're thinking, but just know that you can make a mark just by the little things that you do. Remember that. I want you to know that you shouldn't just pass through life, you should press into it. Make sure that every choices that you make aligns with your values, aligns with your passion, especially if you are the one that actually wants to make a mark, especially if you are ready to make a mark that cannot be erased. I want you to remember that. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I hope you learned one or two things from today's episode. And I hope you are going to put whatever I have said into action. And one day you just never know. You'll be remembered for something that even you yourself will be like, um, was that really necessary? Was I the one that did this? Was I the one that did that? You just never know. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please follow us on our social media platforms at SIPCC Global Youth and SIPCC Global. And also shout out to View Radio for partnering with us on today's episode. Do not forget to follow them on their own social media platforms at View Radio and on their Facebook page at View Radio Media. I wish to see you next time. I remain your host, Clara. See you next time. Bye.